to now introduce our first speaker. He's going to build on what I just said. He's going to challenge you. He's been in the industry for a very long time. He's one of the OG community managers in this space. He studies how companies are innovating now and works with some really large companies to help them figure out how to bring innovation into their organization. He was also the founder of Community Manager Appreciation Day, so appreciate that. He's the founder of Crowd Companies. He identifies trends, advises major companies to adapt their business models to better connect with customers and community. His clients include Adobe, Electrolux, Wells Fargo, Nestle, Cisco, Western Union, Visa, Colgate, Yum, and Pepsi. Please give it up for Jeremiah Owyang!
Wow! Hot damn! Tequila! Woo! All right. So who had tequila last night? Yeah? Not that, no. Who's having tequila right now? This feels really weird. So, 2005, I was a web marketing manager at Hitachi, 100-year-old Japanese company. And I say, hey, I think we should launch some social media stuff. I'm like, social what? Anyways, we launched the community platform. And I go over to HR after my bosses give me permission. I said, I want to change my title to community manager. And they're like, what's that? And they had no idea. And they said, I think you should write your own job description. So I did, and I got the title community manager, first person in Hitachi to do that. And I'm jumping out of HR, yay, I got a new title. And, but nobody knew really what I was doing. They didn't quite understand it. So I had to explain it. I care about customers. Like, oh, okay, that's great, we all do that. So that was like the early days. And then I was hired by Forrester to become an analyst. And I was the first analyst to cover the community space. And I did a wave on the community platforms, best practices on this. I interviewed Evan a bunch of times for my reports. I even interviewed Ted Reingold many times from Dogster fame for those reports. And then I started to see that us as a community, we were rising, but we weren't getting the damn appreciation we needed. Community managers have the loneliest job. Ironically, we're constantly inundated with requests, internal, external. It never turns on or off. People are yelling. Some people are happy. We get our wins. But it is a tough job. You have to balance the needs of the community as well as balance the needs of what your company wants. And those sometimes don't go hand in hand. So in 2010, I launched Community Manager Appreciation Day for you. And thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah. And I wanted to bring awareness that this is an important role that belongs in business. This is a role that demands awareness and respect, that it is really important. This person, this individual, he or she or they are the face of the company in the new digital sphere. The first touch points a company has with their customers is usually not face-to-face. It is online. We all know this. So that person has a very critical role. Don't just give it to somebody who's not qualified or just give it to the intern. This is a specialized, important role. So anyways, it took off. There's a Wikipedia page. You guys put that together. And it's being celebrated all over the world. Who's actually participated in a CMAD online? Oh, God, only very few hands. So if you don't know what it is, the fourth Monday of every January, so it changes dates because I want it to happen during the business day so business people see it. Community managers are to be appreciated by their team and by their customers and elsewhere so we can really drive awareness. And I took that inkling from SysAdmin Day. Have you heard of that? System Administrator. Sorry. And there's also Executive Assistant or Secretarial Day. I said we should do the same thing for community managers. They need to get that appreciation. So I encourage you to rally around. There's a whole group that does a website and live streaming and videos. Hootsuite has done stuff. Lithium has done stuff. Many of the vendors, you guys can get behind that and put out content and really try to support and talk about best practices. It's a day of coming together. Holy shit, I've wasted so much time. I haven't started a single slide. But I just wanted to tell you that I wanted to really serve this space. This is an important space. And my mission today is to talk about the next phase of community. And it really wasn't talked about a lot, but I think it's about integrating innovation. Integrating innovation. And there's a new team inside of big companies called the innovation team, certainly in big companies. Now, if you're in a smaller team, it's typically the product team. And those teams are starting to get attention from the CEO and executive track. but it's separated from the community team. And my mission today is to tell you that you need to combine the community efforts with the innovation efforts, because that's going to help not just your career, but that of your company, and also get the voices of your customers heard so you guys can build better products. Now, David told me about 20% of you have done this. You're integrating innovation into your community, but there's still 80% that's not. So I think this is an opportunity. So we're probably wondering, what does this exactly look like? And so I have this diagram I put together, the evolution of a community. At the base level, the first one that we all do, sorry, I'm in your way, is customer care. That's like a level 1 community. We're just answering questions about their products. The next level up could be product feedback. We're taking in simple requests like, let's fix this little feature, or can you guys do this? And then the next level above that is maybe engaging to a lifestyle or business style or work style, like you're talking about things broader than just the product set. Now, I think the highest level is when you integrate this into actually designing new products and the innovation process, the design process, that the customers are involved in creating the future of your company's products at every single step. Not segmented after the product is released. That's typically how communities are used now for product customer care once the product is released. I see it differently. Involve the community at every single phase. There's quite a few CEOs that talk about innovation today, and they say, we can't keep up with the Google, Teslas, Amazons, Facebooks of the world. We need ideas to come from everywhere. Great. You want to hire a bunch of consultants? You want to hire McKinsey? You want to hire Bain? You want to hire Forrester and Gartner? No. Great, you can. They're very expensive. But why don't you just listen to your customers? They're in your community. So that is my charter and mission today. Let's talk about how this can happen. So I published a research report on corporate innovation. I interviewed a bunch of big companies, and we found out that they are trying to do innovation, but the biggest challenge that they have inside of their companies is the culture. The culture resists innovation. So this is something you should know as you go into this, that big companies or medium-sized companies, they struggle with making small bets on things that may not pay off. They're focused on their big product lines that have billions of dollars of revenues. What we want to do is define, which slide is this? Oh, so there's the innovation challenges. It's culture is the main issue. So let's define what innovation is. For some of you, you understand this. For those that don't, innovation is about your company doing something new that solves customer needs. That's what it is. It's not about doing the iterative product. It's about creating something wildly fantastic that the market may not have seen before. The challenge is it's often in conflict with the company's primary mission. So we see that companies, to keep up with the Ubers and the Facebooks, they have to do some radical things. What I want to do is tell you about the innovation programs we're seeing in companies right now. This is from the research. We see there's over 10 different types of innovation programs that are emerging. I'm just going to walk you through like 3 or 4 that I think are most pertinent to the community strategist. The first thing we're seeing is there is a new team being put in place called the innovation team. So here's the 10 programs. At the very top are things that are happening inside of a company. At the bottom are things that are happening outside of the company. We're just going to focus on the top ones right now. So just as we saw social media teams emerge about 10 years ago, now we're seeing a new, I'm just kind of stuck here. There we go. We're seeing a new, we're seeing a new team emerge. It's an innovation team, and it's a small group, often called a dedicated innovation team. This is very common, and maybe it's 5, 7, 10 folks, and they've really been chartered with coming up with new ideas, and they're testing them. And they're often doing this away from corporate. They're doing it in a vacuum. Take, for example, Swiss Post. They are a Swiss, well, I know there's some Swiss folks here today. They are like the UPS of Switzerland, and they're testing out drones and new things, and they're not showing that to the rest of the company because they're trying to figure out how to do it on the side. So those folks need to connect to community and connect to customers. The next thing that we're seeing is there's a group that's working inside of the company called the Innovation Center of Excellence. Now this group, they are trying to work with every business unit, and they're trying, just like the social media strategist was trying to talk to all the different departments. And in this case, Gore, which makes Gore-Tex, this team has standardized the whole company on one form of innovation methodologies, and they're really trying to get the whole company. So who here does internal communities, employee communities? I would say about 10% of the audience. So this is an opportunity to really turn this dial up and try to get the innovation team that's trying to spread through the company to use online communities to connect to your internal employees. In addition, we're seeing new programs launch called intrapreneur programs. Who's heard of that term before? Okay, great, about half the hands. So for those that don't know, intrapreneur is somebody who is like an entrepreneur, obviously, but they're your colleague. And some companies are doing some very innovative things. For example, Adobe has created a program called the Kickbox program. So if employees have a great idea to help solve customer needs, you can take this class for a day, and they teach you the design methods. They teach you how to do A/B testing. They teach you how to pitch your idea to your boss. And then they give you this red box. What's inside of it? A couple process diagrams, FAQs, some contact numbers, a power bar and a Gatorade, and a $1,000 credit card. And they say, off you go. Even though you're not a product manager or an engineer, we want you to go test your idea in the market. And they give you enough money where you can do some design mock-ups, and you can test your idea with a survey. Or if they happen to know the community manager, they could test the ideas in the community to see if it will stick. Once they get that data back, they can bring that information and they're taught to pitch it to their direct manager. The innovation team says, please don't bring your ideas back to us, the central group. We want innovation to flourish at every single business unit, so go pitch your boss. Apparently there's a black box, and I asked the innovation team in the interview, what's in the black box? They said, we can't tell you, Jeremiah, you've got to earn it. So the net takeaway from this is, companies are encouraging their employees to innovate. It's not tied to any community strategy. There's a gap. This is a market opportunity for you inside of your companies to figure out who is the innovation leader in your company and try to connect that to your community strategy. Because you have the customers, they're trying to come up with new ideas, bring those together. Another example is called open innovation, and companies are now working with startups in their ecosystem to try to come up with new ideas. Also a wonderful community platform play. You could build another community where vetted startups or maybe approved startups can actually work together with the company. For example, Wells Fargo has a tech accelerator program where financial tech startups are coming up with new ideas. Wells Fargo might invest in them, they might partner with them, they might bring the data in-house or connect them to other business units inside of the company. I have never heard of open innovation platform from a corporation having a community platform. It's an open market. Have you heard of that happening? Anybody? One hand. One hand out of 400. David, it's such an opportunity. I think there's so much here. It's such a rich area for the community professional to move into. Okay, so those are some examples here. And so these are the 10 innovation programs. The ones that are most important I brought forward today. And then here's the frequency chart from 65 corporations we surveyed. What's in place? The number one thing is they're putting the dedicated team in place, followed by the Center of Excellence, and then they're partnering with universities. I didn't talk about that. Then intrapreneur programs, and let's see, the other one I talked about is accelerators, open innovation, 40%. So really, they're putting the teams together. The innovation space is very nascent. It's like the social media community space 10 years ago. Help them. So let me poll the room. How many of you, your company does have an innovation program? About half the hands. How many of you know who the head of the innovation program is? Less hands. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity. Go find those folks. So let's go back to our framework, the evolution of that community. We talked about level 1, which is basically reactive. Level 2 is you're sourcing a few ideas. Level 3 is connecting to the lifestyle, the work style. But then again, level 4 is a community that is innovating. Now, I talked about it. Why don't I bring some examples? I have 5 examples of how companies are integrating crowdsourcing new ideas. So the first one is Dominos. They asked their customers and they crowdsource ideas to come up with a new type of pizza delivery vehicle. This is so wacky, isn't it? Basically, there's an oven. It's cooking while you're driving. So it's essentially a crowdsourced idea. So this could happen on your platforms as well. This example I love. So even regulated companies can get in on the game. Barclays Card, like most banks, were struggling to reach millennials. Millennials don't need banks, don't want them, or don't like them. It doesn't matter. So Barclays Card created this platform. They were using the Lithium platform to reach millennials, and they allowed the millennials to design not just the card, but also the way the product works, like the points and the fees. So they actually got to do product design. It's a great way to engage your customers. Let them design the product. Then the excess profits, the millennials got to choose which one of their favorite charities those excess profits could go to. So not only did they turn over control for their products to their customers, they even are sharing the rewards with them. To me, that's like the highest evolution of a community is you can't tell the difference between an employee and a customer. It should look the same. That's the vision I have, is employees and your customers are working in a collaborative way at all levels of the company. You can't tell them apart. Community should not be a standoff on the wayside from the product and the customer experience. It should be integrated throughout all aspects. That's my vision. Another example, early leader, is Lego, and Jake McKee, who I interviewed 10 years ago, was running community. They have done a great job over the years asking their customers to come up with new ideas. And even big companies like P&G have many open innovation programs where their customers are submitting new ideas for products, and this can be directly sourced. To them, they don't care where that new ideas come from. They just want them to come. And even traditional companies that really focus and care so much about their customer experience, and they design things so thoughtfully and so carefully, like BMW, they are now opening up to invite people to submit new ideas for their products. So there's 5 examples of how companies, big giant companies, some are stoic, some are financial services, they're opening up to their customers, actually designing products with them. And I think that's wonderful, and I encourage you to do that. So let's poll the room. David, let's see if that 20% rule was about right. How many of you are doing community innovation where your customers are helping to design the next generation of product? About 1/3 of the room. That's fantastic. Great. That's wonderful. And put your hands up if the product team is very much involved with that as well. About the same amount of hands. Okay, great. That's very mature. But there's still about 2/3 of the room that I think can benefit and get involved and to do this. Now, to bring that forward, I want to share just a few innovation methodologies. I'm not an expert on these, so I'm just going to quickly breeze through them on the different types of innovation methods. And I wanted to bring this forward so we have a vocabulary. When we speak to the innovation team, we understand how to work with them. So I created this cheat sheet, and it's on my blog. Basically, I took all the top design methods, including Waterfall, Lean Startup, Design Thinking, Agile, Design Sprints, and Rapid Prototyping. And then I put when they were founded and what type they are and what it's best for and how they're different. So this is a cheat sheet. When you go to talk to the innovation folks, you understand which process they're going to do. Now, this is important because some of these programs are very long and some of them are very short. And by the way, you guys can have these slides. David certainly will release them. But I love the tweets. I'll be really honest. I love the tweets. I love the tweets. I love them. Love those tweets. Okay, so let's take a look. So this is the traditional one, which is the waterfall, and this is like kind of considered the old way, how big companies create products. It is very methodical and it's very slow, but it's great when you want a perfect product that's going to be mass produced. It is the opposite of how Google, Facebook, and tech companies work. How do they work? They might use design thinking, which is certainly a faster way to prototype, and it's a more flexible way. And then this one, which came out of Google X, is called sprints, design sprints. This one is fascinating. It's a 5-day process. So on the first day you design, you come up with a proof of concept idea. The second day you prototype it, and then I believe the third and fourth day you test it with customers live. And often they're doing focus groups in real life. I'm like, you should be using your community, test it in there. So I think that's where you guys should be sitting in. And on the 5th day, you come together and you deliberate on whether you go forward or don't go forward with that proof of concept. And you're limited to 5 days only. 5 days, that's really fast. So that is called a sprint. So you could see like trying to get customers in a physical room to do a focus group and looking at mock-ups, that's pretty slow. So why not use your online community and have a subsection that could do that? Okay, And so lastly, let's just close out here. This is how I see the evolution of communities one last time. The highest evolution, the highest, my final form, you know, like in Pokemon or whatever. Sorry. He thought that was funny. The highest form is, the final form is you're integrating community in all aspects of your life, and that they're all working together. So to close things out, I have 5 final points. I see a market opportunity. Corporations are falling behind. They are launching innovation programs. They can't keep up with the tech companies who are disrupting them. We all hear the stories. I see an opportunity for all of us as community leaders to help our customers' voices be heard by, number 3, partnering with the innovation team. They need to navigate the whole space, and they don't have enough resources. You have the customer voice. Marry those two together. It requires you to learn some new skills. I just talked about some design methods. You can pick up books or listen to audiobooks like I love to do around all those innovation topics. Learn those new skills. And I think, finally, that's going to advance your career, because you're going to now be seen as a person that's involved in the innovation process. Community doesn't have to be an afterthought. I think it should be a forethought. But the way to do that is to integrate with the innovation process. So my mission today, coming to you as the kickoff speaker, and David and I chatted about this at South by Southwest. I see a market opportunity. I wanted to educate you and show you examples, and I wanted to give you some new skills to think about doing. But really, I want to inspire you to really help your customers in the community lead product development, and you will be involved and have a seat at the table. Thank you guys so much, and please participate in Community Manager Appreciation Day. Thank you. Cool.